Hello, hello. What is up, everyone? We're back with the Livin Weekly Health Report. Kelsey, what's
Good
happening?
morning. Oh, good morning, buddy.
Sorry I'm late. I was just receiving my Italian speeding ticket that they mailed me.
Worth it. Worth
So
it.
worth it. How are you doing?
I'm very tired, but I'm good.
Yeah, you're back home.
Just till Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, Dallas on Monday. We're gonna do Allie Beth Stuckley's show, which is a sorry about that is a goodie. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's a definitely more of the more Christian pro life kind of community, but we're going to be talking about MAID. So I'm very excited to go back down to Texas, hopefully for the last time before this baby comes out.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it's good to be here and everything to be done and to be present for this.
Yeah.
hmm
Well, we got a bit of a different one today, but a good one. We're
Yeah.
talking GLP-1s, which we've covered, pretty extensively, but at the same time, it's just at the top of the search charts and kind of from a discussion point of the safety and the nervous system, vagus nerve, these nervous system tools, as well as ultra processed foods. And
Yeah.
what I love about these themes that are coming up is, we're talking about it from a bit of a different light today in the sense of the people are talking and people are asking questions, and that is more the theme in it rather than what is it? It's how is it working? Is it safe? And these are kind of like the big talking points that are going around right now.
Well, I think what's great about the GLP-1 discussion is that, these were kind of one of those products. GLP-1s are a are a peptide. So peptides have been around for a hot minute, and you can see that RFK is deschedulizing a bunch of them because there are peptides that are really effective in healing, like BP157 and a few others that are fantastic for sleep and things like that. The GLP-1s have been around. They've just been patented and turned into things like Ozempic and these other ones. Now, I think there's a case use for these, but I think personally, from what I'm seeing in whether it's Hollywood or whether it's other communities, they do seem to be getting quite abused. The thing about GLP-1s is there's a lot of foods that can turn on the GLP-1 type receptors in the body that act very similar too. And I think we should be looking for more options that are maybe not a pharmaceutical version of this. But that being said, like I said, there's always a use case. But in America in particular, I know that the pediatrics health was looking at making these an option for children. And what we do know about them so far is that it does it does actually take away more muscle than it takes away fat and bone density. So it's important to pay attention to those things when you are utilizing, or if you're going to choose to use a GLP-1, making sure that you're still really integrating protein and really lifting weights to compress on those bones to help with things like that and continue to build the muscle. And I think ultimately, whatever gets people moving, and if it's a temporary solution, but not being naive to what the FDA has issued around these areas, whether it's stomach paralysis, muscle loss, these types of things, they're important to pay attention to. But again, if it gets you up and going and it gets you in a routine, just not relying on it is always the way I would just choose to move with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I thought what was really interesting is you're seeing now the FDA coming in, looking at like, are these safe? Is it just a bit of a gamble? Like, what's occurring there, and just how it's being marketed too, right? Because I
Right.
think it's a big one in how these new ones come out. This initially started out as for what was it for? Oh my god,
GLP-1s?
having a brain fart. For sugar for our sugar diabetes. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a
So initially
diabetes
designed
drug.
for
Yeah,
diabetes.
it's an
Yeah.
insulin. Yeah, it's for insulin. Yeah,
And then they were kind of just remarketed, right, as this weight
totally.
loss
Yeah,
without getting like the proper data and stuff around it. And that's kind of
yeah.
how it goes in our capitalist society, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because they get out, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's important to talk about. And I like that people are starting to ask these questions because it's important, and the way it's marketed is important too, because I think in what's happening is we're starting to not just believe everything we see on TV, and we're starting to ask, like, what is this actually? Does this work for me? This is what I have going on, because we're all
Right.
different, and we talk about that all the time. And that's a really important thing when it comes to this, right? Because it's being educated in what we are putting in our bodies.
Right, and that's the other thing too, looking at the way that these have been formulated, when they first came out, it was a struggle for individuals who were actually diabetic type 1 to get access to these because the market was being flooded with everybody wanting the weight loss drug. And you are seeing people in Hollywood, it's quite obvious. Ozempic eyes are a thing, Ozempic skin is a thing, the body mass changes. And people are often, when they're looking for that, they're not just looking to lose weight, they're looking for an appetite suppressant. And I just suggest using a ketone instead of that, because it does the same thing without all the harmful chemicals. And again, these types of things, when they're on the market, looking at how quickly they're being shifted, right? So it's not a surprise to see them repurposing a drug, right? So like the FDA does this a lot. About 30% of the drugs are off the mark, are used for an off-label reasoning. I learned this with the MAID drugs. You don't, if the FDA says it's approved for one thing, about 30% of those, the drugs administered from whatever that specific FDA ruling is, are off-label use. So it's no different than what this was. This was a diabetes drug, which again, diabetes type 1, that's not anything anybody can do about it. Your body is born this way. But then utilizing, say, the GLP-1 for weight loss specifically, it's not necessarily designed for that, and we don't have the long-term research around that. So, not maybe necessarily jumping on it. And then, just like, I always find it fascinating watching where some of these places choose to advertise. The fact that the Winter Olympics was just sponsored by Ozempic was a wild one to witness. That's kind of crazy to me. Sometimes you see it at NHL games, you see it all over the place, and just being mindful of that subliminal messaging about what it's kind of talking to you about. Is it something you're really wanting, or is it something that's been planted in you to want?
Yeah, super good point. And that was a huge surprise for me as well, at seeing that at the Olympics. Same thing with the NFL. You notice like the first commercial is always Ozempic, and like seeing it in the NHL now too.
Yeah.
And it's a really important point, because then we're getting into this other side of the health industry, which is the marketing, which is the
Yeah.
trends, the fads, and they're really two different entities that have been put together, and
Yeah.
it's something to be super super aware of, because it's not like, oh, there is no miracle drug. Just
No.
know that there is not.
No.
So
Movement normally does it. Healthy
yes.
food does it. Water and sleep does it better than anything else will.
Yeah, and a big fan, yeah, of like you mentioned, ketones, dates, another really good one
Yeah.
when we're talking gut health, fiber, sugar regulation, the way our insulin responds, our GLP-1 response. Dates
Yeah.
is a magical fruit that also craves, suppresses cravings as well as appetite. So you get that, they taste great if you
Yeah.
get a good date, and there's so many ways you can work with them, and even making like healthy treats and stuff, and like that's a great one if you were looking at a more natural route.
I like dates and butter. So I'll take dates and I'll cut it in half and I'll put a slice of butter in it and a little bit of salt on it. Ooh, son.
Dude, you put a date in a process, like just in a processor, some dates, a little bit of water, it turns into like a caramel. It's insane how good this fruit is. It's
I
just like,
know it's so usable. Like kids don't realize it. Also, I really like they're great for getting ready for labor. Fun facts. So
oh really?
yeah, like a few weeks before you're expected to go into labor, they help a lot with like your internals. And there's some specifics, but dates are a great option. Like 6 a day is what. they suggest to help with like your cervix and things along those lines, if you're having a vaginal birth or a home birth. But yeah, dates are like this weird, again, it's crazy. Every time I open an orange or I cut up a piece of fruit, I'm like, this is so cool. Like I sound like such a hippie when I do it. I'm like, did you see what nature made? Like it blows my mind. It's so much cooler than anything processed, and they often taste so much sweeter. They taste so much better, and you feel good after eating them. But yeah, dates, slice of butter, some salt on.
So good, so good. And
Oh.
Jay just threw out in the chat like you can
Yeah,
get dates at any Costco, and they got like quality dates coming from Saudi Arabia, coming from Egypt, coming from all over, and it's a big one for us. And it's one I utilize a lot because it's just such a it's I like a sweet treat, but at the
yeah,
same time I don't like the processed sugars, and there's
yeah.
nothing better than a date, man.
I just got a box this big and like
Yeah,
6 sticks of grass-fed butter. So I'm about to go ham. So if you see me one day and you're like, why? Why do you look like that? It's because I ate a box of dates and I didn't feel bad about it either.
yeah.
Oh, it's good
Every
stuff.
time Jay comes back from Costco, I have like my 2 cartons of dates.
I love it. It's like your version of beer. It's like, did you get my beer?
Totally.
Did you get my
Yeah,
dates?
totally.
It's like a real thing there. So,
It's a
um,
real thing.
oh, I love that. I love that. Well, I mean, look, again, GLP-1s, it comes down to what are you willing to put in your body? How much have you researched? And like I said, I have a lot of friends on them. I won't lie. I do. I have a lot of friends that use it for different reasons, for sure. Absolutely. Diabetics that use them, friends that use it for weight loss. But I think at the end of the day, it's what's best for you as long as you are okay with the risks and you are understanding. My biggest thing is wanting people to understand fully to the best of your ability what you are putting inside your body. That's it. And so if
Yeah,
you choose to do it, there's no judgment, do you? But just, try to always limit those things. If it's a medical intervention to a um, not a super frequent thing. Let's just use it as a tool to get you healthy, get you moving, get you where you want to be, and then like find another way to supplement in that.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. And that's the cool thing about this one and how it's, keeps getting to the top. Like I feel like people talking about it, asking questions, it's really showing how we're starting to look at things differently. We're starting to think for ourselves, think for our own sovereignty and our health, which is just so, so powerful. So ask the questions, don't be fearful if you are getting pressure. Pressure usually means it's just like, hey, maybe I'm going to take a step back for a second. I'm
Yeah.
going to weigh my options. I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to do a little research.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all it is. This is your opportunity to decide. And like I said, temporary is always probably better. But there are ways. Like I said, ketones are an appetite suppressant. They're going to give you the same form of energy. And then it's not an injection, and it's not something that you feel like you have to rely on. And last we checked, the research around ketones is you don't lose muscle mass, you don't lose bone density, those types of things. So trying to find an alternative that works for you, and whatever works for you, works for you. It's all we can ask.
Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, nervous system tools, real science or wellness hype. I love that this is a talk
There.
point because this is something for us, big tools in what we do
Yeah.
and how we work. And this one I think we can speak a lot to in how these things work. And to me, there is definitely some that maybe fall into the wellness hype when we're talking about some of the like
Yes.
more kind of technology tools. But when we talk about the body tools and these ancient practices of breath work, of walking in nature, and all these types of ones, there's no hype to it. These ones are studied, they've been shown, and
Yep.
they've been used for thousands of years. So to me, plenty of data to support that there's no hype there.
Yeah, and I think also what's cool about the nervous system is you're in control of it. And even when it doesn't feel like you're in control of it, you are. And there are, like I said, there's a ton of different devices out there. I've tested a bunch of them. And there is only one that I find really helpful. And I don't find necessarily for me helpful. I actually find it helpful for younger humans, tiny humans who struggle to regulate on their own. And if you're the type of person who's already hyped and My apologies. And you
Okay.
know for a fact that you're already hyped up. I always try to do biomimicking with little humans. So that's just having them wrap their legs around you and their arms around you and you holding them and not asking them to do anything, but just getting yourself breathing in a pattern. They'll naturally get the biofeedback is really great there. But there are definitely kids and people who struggle with being able to, really with being able to sit and get themselves in control. There is a device called the Apollo. Now you don't have to get an actual device. You can use your phone, which is cool. It's got they use the hepatics on the phone. There's an individual, Dr. Dave. I'll look up his name. I've had him on the show before, and he works in the psychedelic space. And what it basically it's like an app, and you put it on your chest like this, and it will hepatic, and it will help your nervous system come up and go down, and it will help the breathing patterns increase. There's a wearable device for them. I don't use it. I just use a phone. I've used it a few times, but that's really, again, that's where really I find people that are really struggling to work with their own rhythm on their own. I haven't used any other devices that I would be like, hey, the stemmed little stem pen. Have you ever seen the stem pens? The
No.
acupuncture pens. So they're just like little acupuncture pens. They're like less than $20 on Amazon. We get them in brain treatment. It's like a little acupuncture pen. It's silver and it's got settings, and it basically zaps you because it's an acupuncture pen. But you put it on your tongue.
Ah.
So if you're really struggling to get yourself into regulation, you just stick your tongue out and you set it on your tongue on setting 2, and your tongue will just jump. It won't zap you, it'll just jump. And then you just breathe, and that actually will start to naturally bring you out of that sympathetic and into the parasympathetic quite quickly. And so that one's a great one, especially for littles, if you are struggling to get them in a rhythm. That one's good. And then for adults, the gargling, the singing, the humming, really pushing the vagus nerve along there. And then once you're getting yourself to a space where your body's receptive, going into the breath pattern. And then really just thinking about things like, the Japanese they have been literally prescribing forest bathing as a prescription for a long time for a reason. So there's no substitute for getting outside in the woods and just walking and breathing and being mindful of your steps. It's always helpful. Always
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. And that's really, I think, the big one here is you don't have to jump to the technology. You can start simple,
Yeah.
start with these breath, this walking, any of these pieces, do a little research, ask some questions, ask us some questions, and
Yes.
and you can start to feel it pretty quickly. And it's something, if we've never done it before, it's just like anything, you're just learning for the first time. So it takes training, it takes repetitivity, it takes
Yeah.
those pieces to evolve within it. And as we do that, we start to train the nervous system. We start to gauge when our nervous system's in each place.
Yeah.
And then these technologies can, in my opinion, can be really helpful when, if we're not sure, like, was I really in parasympathetic then? Like, you can wear the Whoop, you can try the Apollo, you can try some of these ones. Heart Math, another really good one,
Yeah.
where you can start to see, but then you're starting to get that visual gauge, and you can kind of connect the feeling if you really do want to go that route. But I
Mm-hmm.
think for a lot of people, it's just that real simple thing, and in trying some of these practices, just little simple breaths that we can take in throughout the day, and try working with it throughout the day while we're driving, while when someone is triggering us, when we're in certain areas of our life, or where we're hitting our upper resistance or something,
Yeah.
where we're feeling our heartbeat and we're getting nervous, and like, that's a good thing. We're about to evolve. So it's like learning how to work with all that stuff.
And it's great too. And it's okay to acknowledge that if you haven't done this before, or you've never worked with breath work before or mindfulness before, it can be quite frustrating. People say, well, we'll just go meditate. Meditating is hard as shit. And it's okay to acknowledge that it is very difficult, but
Sure.
it doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means it's a new tool and a new muscle in the brain that you're having to teach and work. And it's one of those things that requires, like anything else, it requires doing the work. So a friend of mine, George, used to always say this. He goes, it's in the work you're not doing. So whether you say, yeah, but I'm trying, but you're not doing the work that gets you there. So even if that's 2 minutes every day, I know it sounds like that's a silly amount of time, but 2 minutes of extreme focus is difficult for brains that have been either on screens their whole life, or they have been those type of people where they are already compartmentalized. And so allowing the brain time to learn how to refocus. And maybe I always say, give yourself 2 weeks to create the habit, right? It takes 21 days to create a solid habit. So if you can, for 2 solid weeks, just do 2 minutes of hyper focused breathing or meditation. And then after that 2 weeks, increase to 5 minutes and then work it. And don't get frustrated at yourself. Like, this is like learning these new tools for some people is a pattern and a process. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's just because in this day and age where things move at a rapid pace, I'm not going to say it's because CERN has turned on a few times, but I am going to say it's because some things are going on where things like time is moving fast. It's okay to pull yourself back into the body and become a little more aware, because it's so easy to get distracted. So be patient with yourself on this. But give yourself 2 minutes. Try 2 minutes. Set a timer. Sit down. Nothing else. 2 minutes of hyper focus. And let the brain, the monkey mind go. And just focus on the breath.
Yeah. Yeah, and that resistance a lot of times too is actually a good thing. It's actually showing us that we're breaking a pattern, right? And we're creating a new one. So
Mhm.
when we can be gentle with ourselves and let that flow, it starts to
Right.
really help how those show up and how we change our perception around it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what's really cool is you have the tools all the time without buying anything, without doing anything. These tools are built into us. We just have to learn how to activate them.
100%,
Mhm.
100%. Love it. Okay, number 3, ultra processed foods and the slopo collapse.
The
I didn't
what
really
collapse?
The slopo collapse. I had never heard
Okay.
this term before.
Me either.
But basically meaning the collapse of ultra processed foods and the
Ah,
shift of people wanting different, more whole food diets. I was surprised to see this one in the top 3, but very
okay.
cool. Very, very cool that this is starting to become a thing because in everything we're seeing in this big shift that's happening globally from so many different levels,
Yep.
the fact that we're starting to look at like it's hard to find whole foods on the go. It's all fast food, it's all ultra processed, and if we don't
Mhm.
want it, there it will go away, right? Like
Yep. And it's
it's a
expensive.
it's
This shit's
expensive.
expensive. Like, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite snacks is meat on the go. I find it keeps me just from wanting anything, any sugar, anything like that. But it's expensive as hell. I use meat sticks from Man Bar, which are a Texas-owned company. I use stuff from carnivore snacks. They're very expensive, so I always go Man Bar first because I find the quality is unmatched and they're a small batch and they're incredible. But anything else, I mean, like I said, food in itself has been ultra processed for so long that if we it's not only difficult to find, but if we don't put the effort into finding it, it will naturally go away because it's supply and demand, man. Supply and
100%.
demand.
And that's such a powerful one, and it's so cool to see us asking questions about this because that's that natural evolution too, right?
Yep.
Like as it does take more time, but like you start to realize like are these systems put in for convenience or for profit? Like we
Yeah.
are, a capitalistic system. It may not be from that intent, but as we've learned more, as we've grown more, we're starting to realize like how the detriment that these types of foods make, and when
Yep.
it's become more about the bottom line than the food itself, and it becomes more plastic than food, it's time to evolve, man.
Yeah, and I mean, look, like with it's funny we use more plastic than food because, the newest, some of the newest stuff we're seeing with some of these amazing researchers are like, microplastics are in the air. Like you can't really avoid them anymore at this point. So, what we have to do is take a look at what we're choosing to ingest other than oxygen because we kind of need that. And I think once we understand that there is a option to a lot of these things, it gets much easier to start shifting the way we feel quite quickly because it doesn't take too long before your body goes, oh, actually that tastes better and it makes me feel better. And once your brain acknowledges it, your body, your taste buds, everything will start to kind of go with it naturally. I do know there's a brand actually, it was really important that came to my attention this morning because a lot of people feed it to their kids. It's have you ever heard of Annie's mac and cheese?
Yeah.
It just got bought by I think Kellogg's, I think. and they're quietly changing all of the ingredients. So I would always encourage you to take a look at that, because that used to be like my son's go-to when he was little. Very clean, very like, it was a very clean mac and cheese option. And apparently they just got bought, and they're quietly changing all the labels and not telling people. So really paying attention. I know you don't have to sit in the store for 6 hours and read labels, but if there's like something that you've had, just watching the evolution of it, right? Just really
Yeah.
watching the evolution of, we talked about it with Smart Sweets, right? When they first started, they were hyper clean. They're clean, but they're not as clean as they used to be. So just watching evolutions of companies and products, it's really important.
Man, Smart Wheats is a trip. That shit is pure laboratory. Like you can't read a single ingredient on the back.
I know. And when she first started that company on Dragon's Den, it was not like that.
No, no, it wasn't. It
No,
wasn't. I really liked what she had created there. But
I
that's
like
kind
the
of the trend
texture.
we see. Like you see
Yeah.
it in clothing, right? Lululemon when they
Oh,
sold, like it's the same stuff. So I think
yeah.
it's that natural trend, and then they just try and squeeze it
Absolutely.
for all it's worth. And
Yep.
the more aware we become, like you nailed it. It's supply and demand. It's
Hmm.
taking our power back in how we approach everything that we buy, how we approach our day, how we approach the conversations we're having, right? Like
Yep.
we really do have power. It's not that we're powerless. It happens in the choices we make. So I think it's
Absolutely.
really neat to have these discussions coming up and being at the top of the list, because it's showing that we're starting to ask questions. We're starting to talk. We're starting to look at this stuff differently. And what's neat about that is you see new companies come up, you see new entrepreneurs, you see
Yeah.
people starting to go back to their community farms, all this kind of good stuff, right?
Yeah, no, that's what's beautiful, right? If you don't have a local farm, I've actually just found out about this incredible company. For the life of me, I can't remember their name right now, and I'm so sorry. But they basically, if you're like, well, I'm struggling because the cost of groceries on fruit and vegetables are so high right now. If you don't have a local market, there is a company in Canada that started buying up all of the ugly fruit and vegetables, and you can get them for like over 50% off, and they'll send you a box where it's the only reason the grocery stores got rid of them is because they just don't look pretty, right? They're the awkward looking carrots and the weird looking beans. And it's like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I have no affiliation with them. I don't have a discount code. I just found them recently and I was like, that looks cool. And
Wow.
so, yeah, they're really
I'd
cool.
love to give them a shout out. So we'll
Yeah.
track it down and we'll drop it in the show notes, because that's that kind of stuff is so awesome, right? Like
There's a new meat company. There's a new meat company in in Canada as well, who's doing more of like a subscription meat box at a cheaper price as well. I got to find out what the names are. Sorry to just kind of drop these, but it's exciting to me when I see them. I haven't bought from them yet, but what I can see is it looks great, and that is something I am looking at doing, because I think that if we give people better options towards eating healthier in a cost-effective way, as costs are actually skyrocketing, I think it will help. It will help in a big way. So it's all the small steps, man. It's all the small things. And then if you're really struggling, like just with the nervous system and things, and you're trying really hard to eat healthy, protein, getting a really healthy version of protein in your body, um, even if it's just like a smoothie, but a healthy version. So Noble out of Texas is really good for that. It's not a crazy expensive protein, but if you can't afford to go buy steak right now or meat because of the costs, and I'm not naive to the cost in the country right now, so I just want to be very clear about that. At least getting a form of protein in your body that's really clean and healthy can still help you on your way. So I think these things it's like you said, there's supply and demand, and I think there's a high supply right now for people wanting to be healthier and feel good. And I think that there's a ton of options, just most people don't know about them.
yeah, the shift, baby. I love it.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. Thank you.
No
Thank you
problem.
everyone for joining us again today. And Kels, thanks for being here. Thanks for keeping rocking it and doing your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I can only do it because of the healthy things I put in my body, or I would be dying. This last pregnancy, by this point, dude, I was just like face down on the couch every day. I just couldn't even. And so now I'm just kind of priding myself on the fact that today is the first day that I went from like, what is it called? On the lawnmower, the riding lawnmower gears, where it's like, I've gone
Rabbit.
down to the turtle.
Turtle. You've
I
gone down
hit
the
turtle.
turtle.
I hit turtle today.
Wow.
So
That's
I
big.
I'm like, okay, so So this is where we're at. So healthy options are available, and I'm glad that we're all looking into this and we keep going this path. I think it's helping people, and I think it's giving them the tools. So always grateful to see the company, what we do, and everyone else in our company does to help individuals, and making sure that if you're looking for really good options around health and around what you want to regulate yourself with instead of sugary drinks, really taking a look at our electrolytes, because they are a massive benefit to people right now, especially when people are missing minerals in their lives. And there's such an easy ad. I put them, you're going to love this. I always have, I keep a bag in the
The hidden
studio
bag
now,
behind the fern. I love that.
just right there, easily accessible, so I can just put it in the water. That way I don't have to go all the way up. So I'm just
Beautiful.
telling you, great options, man.
And when we're talking nervous system, minerals, mushrooms, so super helpful. And the bonus too, when we have an all-in-one product like that,
Yes.
mushrooms are extremely helpful for the microplastics, any of the mycotoxins, those types of things. They're
Yeah.
magic at cleansing those and helping those not get attached to the receptors. And then, they're just awesome. So I appreciate that a lot.
Of course. Okay. Well, looking forward to seeing you guys all again next week. And if you guys do have questions, make sure to message myself or Good Living and let us know what you guys need, what you want to hear more of, and what you want to understand. And don't hesitate to ask about either the things we've talked about or some of the brands that I forgot to say, because I'm pregnant. And we'll put those in the show notes. I'll find those for Brett right now. And if you have more questions, like I said, I'm sure somewhere down the road we can find those for you. And let us know how we can be a benefit to your life.
Yeah, and let's just keep talking, guys, because that's it. These solutions are out there, and sometimes it just takes community and some conversation and discovery. So reach out, and we'll keep jamming.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, team. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Hey.
Bye, everybody.